remains in Birmingham to host Charlotte this Saturday at 2:30 at Protective Stadium. With that, I'll turn it over to Coach Vincent for an opening statement. Following that, we have tight end Bryce Damus and defensive lineman Isaiah Forte.
Good morning, guys. How we doing? Good. Very proud of our coaching staff, very proud of our players, fans, and even students that came out and really probably the biggest student section of the year up to this point, just continuing to grow, but extremely proud of our players and coaches and being able to represent those patients and families for the Children's Harbor game and also to be able to play for the memory of the patients that weren't there with us Saturday. So just overall, we came out, we started fast, being able to go down and score on our first drive, being able to get a good stop on defense, come back and score again. It's really probably one of the better halves of football that I know I've seen here at UAB. And just the urgency, the sense of focus, the passion, just the way we started the game in all three phases, I couldn't be more proud of this football team. Obviously, 1-1 in conference. You've got Charlotte coming in this Saturday, so obviously being excited about getting into another conference game at home, staying here in Birmingham. So, just taking it one day at a time and moving forward.
Obviously, how do you kind of keep that focus going on into this week? You face a Charlotte team. They've only got one win on the season. How do you kind of keep that focus, from what you see on paper versus what you see on film?
I think you can always go back to the history. I think it was 2017. UAB went to Charlotte and they were winless. And at the end of the day, it's college football. Every given Saturday, every week of this football season, you've seen upsets, you've seen wins, teams go to places, whether it's an App State at Texas State, whether it's an App State at Texas A&M. Each and every week you see it over and over and over, and you've got to get prepared. Your team's got to prepare. You've got to be ready because it's hard to win Division I football games. It's hard, and you've got to stay the course on the things that got you there, and you've got to get ready. This football team is an experienced team. It's a mature team. It's a very smart football team. We know that we're still backed in a corner. We are 1-1. Every game is a championship game for us. That's our mindset. That's what we talk about as a team. It's about us, and it's about us preparing daily. Like we said, right now we've had 5 chapters written in this book. This is chapter 6, moving ahead with another conference game. Records don't matter. We know Charlotte's extremely talented. Chris Reynolds, their quarterback, who got hurt, I guess midway through the first game against FAU, he's the guy that makes them go. And when he's in the game, they play different. And you can go back to the Georgia State game. You look at Georgia State, and Georgia State has played North Carolina down to the wire. South Carolina down to the wire. They beat a good Georgia Southern team. And Charlotte's winless, and they go to Georgia State and beat them there 42-41, and Reynolds has a heyday. Then you go back to this last conference game against UTEP, and it's 41-35 is the final score, and Reynolds is sitting there. He's got him in the game late in the end. So I think with Chris Reynolds at quarterback, Charlotte is obviously a dangerous football team. They're a team, they believe in him, and you can tell it. He's a winner. He's tough, and it's just the next game. The records doesn't matter. All that matters is we come in with a championship mindset and play in Protective Stadium and get ready to protect Birmingham again. Being 3-0 so far at this point up in time is something that's important to this football team in Protective Stadium this season, and it's something we just got to continue to focus on and grow and build daily.
With Middle Tennessee, they had those 2 pass rushers who were thought to be two of the best pass rushers in the conference, and they really were never a factor. Certainly on the pass rush they weren't. Was there something special y'all did to them, or was it just a matter of your tackles just winning the day?
I thought we were extremely smart in our schematics on how we wanted to protect. We didn't do a whole lot of drop back. We brought in some other protections that we felt like could hold up, and we were also, I thought, very strategic in the concepts and whether it was play action, whether it was drop back on third down, that we didn't want to hold the ball long. We wanted to get it out quick and give Dylan quick reads, and I thought that worked out very well. We're 6 for 8 in the first half and third down. That's something we're extremely proud of. We were able to extend drives. critical drives, converting third downs that led to touchdowns. And to be able to come out and score, our first 6 possessions was something we've got to continue to work hard to do. But I was just extremely proud of our guys to be able to execute, stay on the field, extend plays, and be able to put the ball in the end zone.
Obviously, offense had a great day Saturday. You look at Trey coming back; he really kind of opened up that offense, really underneath a lot for those underneath the receivers and tight ends. Just talk about what he means to this offense, especially having him back to kind of take that top off of defenses and keep them honest with y'all.
No doubt, I thought Trey had a big game. You start off with the first play of the game that we threw a shot down the field, and it was a little bit underthrown, and I thought Schropp did a great job of adjusting to the ball and really coming back to it and making the catch. And then as it went, we hit him with a couple underneath, couple slants, a couple hitches, sprint out hitches that I thought that, when we sprinted out to the left side, the second play of the game, and we threw him that hitch, to see him take that ball and drive it forward, and he ran through the defender to get 11 yards, was just a sign of growth and development in his underneath game. I think he's grown, he's matured. We know that he can take the top off. Something that we challenged him with this offseason was to come better and be a more physical runner on the underneath game, and I think you saw that Saturday also. But I think, anytime with our running game right now and our play-action game, when you have Trey Shropshire and you've got Tejon Palmer that can take the top off, when those safeties want to come down and start fitting the run, which everybody's doing to us right now, that gives us the ability and the opportunity to go over the top, and that's what you saw Saturday. And that's when we start hitting those shots and we start attacking defenses early in that way, that's when this offense can really start running, I believe.
And, Coach, obviously Debo had another great game, but looking at Skull, getting over 100 yards, and, we talk about the pass protection and what the offensive line did against Middle Tennessee. How about him laying a couple really good blocks on those big guys up front?
Jermaine Brown's mentality, Skull, his mentality, what you see from Skull daily is a championship mentality and a championship attitude. Whether it's in the weight room or whether it's on the practice field, every single day he's the same guy. And something that really stood out Saturday is exactly what you just said. Yeah, he had a great day running the football. He ran with purpose and a passion. He was physical. He had great vision, but his pass protection was incredible. You see early in the game, we've got a great protection up, and they bring corner fire from the boundary, and Skull runs over there and just flattens him. That just puts him down, and then you see it again. We've got another protection, slide protection in, and you see a linebacker come through, and he flattened him also. And that's who he is. His mentality, his effort, what he gives to this football team and what he brings to this football team it's priceless. So I was extremely proud of his effort again.
Before the year, there was obviously some talk defensively about, the interior up front being the question mark just because you lost some guys. How do you assess how they played so far, particularly the 2 starters with Isaiah and Fish? Something that we talked about throughout fall camp was, because that was the question, what about your defensive line? What about your defensive line? You've lost so many guys, and something that I said throughout fall camp was, well, what you're going to see this fall, we've got a lot of confidence in these guys. You just haven't heard a lot about them, and I think as through 5 games of the season, I think their production, their effort, their leadership is what's really nobody's really seen yet. Their leadership and production has been phenomenal. Their attitudes, I think, we've done a great job of stopping the run throughout 5 games. We've done a great job of really containing the passer and bottling him up. So I think, if you talk about Isaiah Forte, his play this year has been phenomenal. It's been steady. But something I think that's really stood out about Isaiah throughout fall camp and these first 5 games is his leadership. His leadership has been at a high level. He is, even when things are good, they're good. But when things are bad and we've faced adversity this year, the thing that's really been a strong point is Isaiah's leadership. And that to me is priceless. You go to Fish. Fish is the same guy every day. He's happy. He comes to work every day. He's twitchy. He's in the best shape he's ever been in. And I think Fish's leadership and his production speaks for itself also. I couldn't be more proud of those 2 guys and really our defensive line in a whole. They've kind of came in with a chip on their shoulder that, we're going to show you.
We're going to show you we're here. It's just we're the next guys up. And they were prepared. They're ready, even from Fairbanks to Kelly Sanders to Kyle Harrell. And then you look up and you've got Drew Tuazuma, who is really starting to develop and emerge, Tyreek Howard. So the list goes on. But that group as a whole has really risen up and had great production for us so far through 5 games.
Seems like at times in the second half the other day, you got a chance to rest some people. I don't know, Noah Wilder didn't seem like he played as much. Tyler Taylor didn't seem like they played as much. Did you get a chance to rest some guys? And how big is that when your bye week came so early? How big is it to have these games where you can rest them when possible?
I think it's extremely important for the longevity of this season because we know this is a journey and we're on. So there was a point in time halfway through the third quarter, we looked up and Debo had 12 carries and I think Skull had 11, and we were in good position at that moment, and it was an opportunity to get A.J. Gates in, who we have a lot of faith in and a lot of trust, who was banged up, to get A.J. some quality reps in a meaningful time, and then we were able to get Taven Curry in there at the end to get some meaningful reps. So I think being able to hold Noah and play some more guys, even Brody Dalton, Dallas Payne, we were able to get in and get some meaningful reps and be able to see some good things. I thought Brody Dalton came out and was physical. He played with a purpose. He was knocking guys around, being able to get Dallas Payne in because, again, we've got 8 straight games, and we want to continue to keep the guys fresh that are our starters, but also develop players, give them more opportunities and more experience because you cannot buy experience. You've got to go out there and gain experience and go through it. So when we have those opportunities, all we're doing is developing our team, developing our future, and getting these guys prepared, to come in and play in a big conference game here as we move forward.
You talked a little bit earlier about the taking the top off with Bryce and Tajon Palmer. Conversely, how big is it that you get the tight end protection? You get the short stuff that they can't just try to take if they try to take the top away from you, you have the short game too.
I think it's extremely important. Number one, it gets Dylan comfortable. It gives him some easy reads, some easy answers, some easy decisions. It gets the ball to some of our underneath playmakers in space. That is just as good as a run. When you can get 5 to 7 yards on a quick game and be able to get the ball out when everybody's crowding the box, I think you got to be balanced. We can't be a football team that's just going to throw the ball over the top. We've got to have those plays where we're attacking them over the top because everybody's crowding their box. But we've also got to be efficient in the underneath game, in the mid-range game also, to have a complete offense. Because what you're going to start seeing, as we know, is corners are just going to start bailing. They're going to start playing center field. So we've got to be able to go over the top, intermediate, and underneath just to have a well-rounded, balanced attack in what we're doing.
Anything else for Coach? Last one.
Coach, so looking at the Middle Tennessee game, I thought the defensive secondary played really well. Looking at Charlotte, we've talked about Chris Reynolds, but they've got a couple wide receivers, like Dubose in particular, really lengthy, really good in open space. But talk a little bit about what you've seen out of your secondary and how, just looking at Charlotte this Saturday.
No doubt. And if you move throughout the season, it seems like each week you go from Liberty – and these are the best receivers that we've seen up to this point. Then you go to Georgia Southern. These are the best group of receivers we've seen up to this point. Then you go to Rice. That was the best group they had. Then you go to, Middle Tennessee, and we thought that, they had a great group of receivers, obviously, and what they'd done up to this point. And now you come into Charlotte, and this might be the best group of receivers we've seen up to this point. So, our defensive secondary, they're a very interesting group. They're very competitive. They welcome the challenge. They're very confident in their skill set. They're very confident in their play. They play extremely well together. They play with a lot of intensity and a lot of toughness. So, time after time after time, they've been challenged with a game and a situation or a receiver group and a quarterback, and they've answered the challenge over and over and over. And one thing we've told them is each week the challenge is just going to grow. We've got a big challenge this week, with Reynolds back and their receiving core, and it's kind of what our secondary lives for. It's what they live for. They live for that moment. They live for that challenge, and they want to be challenged. And they've risen up time and time again, and this will be no different this Saturday versus Charlotte.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll move Bryce up to the podium. Bryce is that tight end who's emerged as the go-to receiver. So, Bryce, come on. Questions for Bryce?
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
For you, just talk about that. Just what Coach is talking about having to have that, the intermediate and short passing game, and just what kind of role, how important is it for you guys to, to have production like you did on, on Saturday.
Yes, sir. For us as tight ends, we like to mix it up, and we get looked at to make plays all over the field, just not in the receiving game or blocking. So we just try to mix it up and do the best that we can. And we know we got playmakers all over the field, so we just try to come in and do whatever our coach asks us to do. If that means blocking, let's block. And if we get the ball, make sure we do what we got to do and protect the ball.
Do you feel like having Trey come out there and along with Tajon being able to kind of take that top off allows y'all as tight ends to kind of really move around in that kind of mid area, past the line of scrimmage and kind of really kind of develop the passing game in that area?
For sure. Having guys like Schropp and T-Palm, those guys are somebody you really have to just plan for. You can't just be like, oh, they're okay guys. They're guys that you have to plan for and make plays anywhere, whether it's a 10-yard route or 40, 50 yards downfield. So for us, it opens up us underneath because they have to take care of it so much. So it lets us have one-on-one matchups and take advantage of people that struggle protecting the pass. My bad. Sheesh. Man, throat's a little dry, a little nervous. My bad. First time up here.
For you guys in that as an offense in that first half the other day when everything's going well, as good as that first half was offensively, how fun is that when you're going through that when everything's working as an offense?
It's a great feeling. It just felt like anything could pop at any time. So inside zone, seeing Debo running up through there, seeing Skull, making that one cut on a guy, making a miss, and then taking a shot. There's nothing better than just pass proing. Making sure no one hitting Dylan. You look down the field, next minute you see Schropp running. And end zone, everybody's celebrating this, and that, and you just running down celebrating with your team. And there's just no better feeling than that. So when it comes around, we love it.
You're kind of busy blocking during it, but how many times do you see something that either Skull or Debo do on film? Because you don't really see it on the field a lot because you're blocking.
Sure.
I mean, how many times, Sunday or whatever day you watch the film from that game, how many times you see something and kind of laugh or get excited for what you see that you didn't get to see the day before?
For sure. For us, it's always, keep blocking until the whistle blows. And so when you get to see it on film, it's crazy. Because you don't really, sometimes you wonder, like, how does he do it? Just like the one, Debo squeezed through a little hole and spun off one leg and almost scored, almost broke a tackle and scored. And it was just, those guys are just so good at what they do. And it's just amazing to see. It sucks that I can't see it in live action, but when I get to see it on film the next day, it's just great to see. And, we have a lot of faith in those guys. So.
Anything else for Bryce? All right, that's good. That's a good team player right there. He just said pass pro is his favorite thing. All right, we'll move Isaiah Forte up here. Isaiah, as mentioned, he's kind of that unsung hero on the defensive line. So questions for Isaiah?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good morning, Isaiah. So do you and Fish have a good relationship? Because I see y'all talking on the field. Like, y'all got a pretty good relationship?
Yes, sir. Me and Fish committed here in 2018. When Coach Clark was here, all the other coaches were here. Me, Fish, Fairbanks, Starling. We was like a big recruiting class. I remember like it was yesterday. We was on top of a roof. You could see the whole UAB. You see the whole Birmingham. We was up there eating big steak and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Fish was he's my close friend. When I went to JUCO, he still was, he still was on me. He still was talking to me. When I used to come on the visits all the time, meet with Fish, meet with Marino and all them. But outside of here, me and Fish got a good relationship, a lot. Like, we be around each other 24/7. Like, probably right after this right here, we finna go in the meeting room, watch some film on Charlotte.
For you guys, during fall camp, how much did it drive you that there was a question mark, next to y'all's name? Because people just didn't, like Coach said, people just didn't know. I mean, did that drive you guys a little bit?
Oh yes, sir. When they said that, what about the defensive line? that really added like fire to the fuel. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, why is it a question mark about us? You know what I'm saying? We hold the standard. So when they said that, I talked to Fitch about it. I was like, bro, they just don't know us. You feel me? So I told them, like, hey, we going to amp it up. They're going to know our name. But after the first game, second game, after the whole season, they're going to know our name. So that's why I told them we talk about it plenty of time. We still talk about it to this day. Like this game right here, I just talked to him before I came in. I told him, he said, I'm watching film on Charlotte. I said, come on, I'm finna come in there right after this and watch. He said, yeah, the O-line, they ain't really blocking. I said, well, let's go eat them up then. Let's go handle business.
Obviously, you look at you talk about the questions around y'all, coming into this season, but, one of the big things was the younger guys come in and the JUCO guys that come in, just, kind of being leader, you and Fish being the leader on that line. How would you kind of evaluate these young guys and the kind of quality depth that they've given y'all, into this season where they were kind of unknowns coming in?
Oh, they was good. I'll say this, like, any, like, little mistake that they have or if I see that they doing anything wrong, they can take a wrong step. I still, hey, let me talk to you, like, let me tell you what you're doing wrong right here. Or even if Coach Tatum talking to him, I still walk over there because the leader I am. I'm going over there to talk to them, making sure that they're getting it right because I was in their shoes before. Like probably my 20 year, I was hurt, but I had older guys helping me make the right decisions, make the right plays and stuff like that.
How much do you guys feed off what's going on with the offense when, I know you're on the sideline talking, but how often do you kind of sneak a peek at the big screen and how much you feed off what they're doing? And how big was that, last week when they're scoring like that in the first half?
Oh, yeah. When it's scoring like that first half, it's really a break for us. Like for me and Fish, what I'm saying? We running out, we getting most of the reps. So it's really a break for us. But as you looking on the scoreboard, you see score on dead leg and somebody and he falling that way. You like, oh man. Then you got Debo running through defenders' faces over and over and over. It hype us up that we saying, oh, we ain't gonna be on the field long. Let's go out here and get a 3 and out, come back and do the same thing we just did again.
As a defensive tackle, back in the day, it was everybody ran the ball and they, kind of ran right at you. Now, there's spreading, there's tempo, and as a bigger player and as a defensive tackle, kind of how do you handle that? And do you like these spread and tempo teams?
I'll say the tempo, like Middle Tennessee tempo was like really fast. That's probably like the fastest tempo I done been like played against. Probably I'd say like last year with Liberty. But like this year, Middle Tennessee tempo was like real fast. But we was only running like 3 down anyway. So I already knew what I had to do. I was in front of the center the whole time. But I just get out there and I play ball, scrape my keys. They weren't really like doing too much. So I just knew where the blocks was coming. I look at the formation and I just know like what play is coming. I just keep studying.
Anything else? All right. Thanks. I'm bringing these two back next week for us. Yeah.